Okay, right, here we are in my car, and I'm just going to make this video. I was just thinking earlier about what I wish I discovered prior to starting my, failing Forex for about a year and on my journey. And I've just sort of grouped sort of a few things together, which I think would be really helpful for you to know, whether you're failing, whether you're break even, whether you're succeeding, wherever you're at, like these things will help a lot. I mean, if you're already succeeding and you're not doing these things, then after doing them, like you should basically be like a millionaire tomorrow morning, really. But yeah, so I'm just gonna go through this. So firstly, like the first thing that I think everyone has to do, and I think everyone does do that's profitable, is keeping it simple. Like, I know you've probably heard that maybe thrown around a lot, but like the more rules you give yourself to do, and the more decisions you have to make, like, so many trade management rules. If the candle does this pattern, you're going to do this position, you're going to scale in, out, like whatever. The more you've got to essentially like mess up, the more steps you have to do, the more steps you have to mess up. So if you give yourself firstly as few steps as you need, the really crucial ones, then you've got less to do wrong. You're going to create a more consistent strategy. Okay. And consistency, that's like another great thing, but you want it to be super repeatable, and that's so much easier with a simple strategy. Like, you see loads of people with like loads of like indicators, and like the best thing you can do is just get loads of chart time yourself. Like, put the hours in, back test, forward test. And like my simple strategy, I just use daily zones, maybe H4 zones on the 4 hourly chart. And when price gets there, if it starts to bounce, then I enter a position in direction of the bounce. If it breaks, I want to see if it comes back to the zone, and that's called a break and retest. And I see if it breaks the zone, like that's it. And yeah, there's like a bit of nuance and intuition, and like you build, a few things you look for, like certain price action. But in a nutshell, like that's it. Like and I enter the trade. I use a one-to-one risk reward, and I just let it run, hit, take profit or stop loss. You can see everything I've been doing in Telegram for free below, and that's got loads of like all my trades and my journey and how it's been going. I don't make any like crazy income yet. That's more because my account balance is not massive, but generally speaking, like I'm fairly profitable. Like, I do okay. So you just want to focus on like one thing. You don't want to have like 3-4 strategies on 3-4 time frames and you're doing it all. You want one strategy, a couple time frames, maybe multiple time frame analysis, whatever. But a couple things, keep it really simple and track it. And you'll start to find quite quickly the things that work and don't work, because it's so easy to repeat. If you've got all these different steps you take, well, you might be like entering buys at certain zones, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But because of your like, perhaps your trade management rule is making you exit, like it's hard to see if what really is a winner and what's not, because maybe you exit early based on your intuition, which at the start you won't have any intuition at all. So you should probably just let it run and just see what happens, and see if your base analysis was right to begin with. Next thing, number 2, is just accepting the risk. Like, this comes to a bit of psychology, really, is just accepting the risk. Like, nobody is ever going to get 100% win rate. You should be happy with like a 55% win rate. Okay, that's if you're using a one-to-one risk reward. Okay, you should be happy with that. Like, that's fantastic. Okay. And before you even enter trades and positions, you should already know how much you risk per trade, whether that's a percentage amount, a dollar amount, whatever. You should know. Okay, you should already know before you enter the trade, are you going to scale in on or scale out? Like, is that something you do? Because let's say trade goes against you and you scale in, cool, how many times until you call it quits? And then do you do that on every trade, whether it goes any direction, or do you just leave it? Like, it needs to be very clear, and your risk just needs to be calculated. Okay, like, do you enter multiple pairs? Like, do you enter the US dollar in like several cross pairs, like Euro USD, GBP USD, AUD USD? Do you enter 3 at a time, or do you just say 1 at a time and then that's it, you call it quits? Do you trade news? Like, these things, you should have like these clear like rules, and it should all be calculated like with your risk. Okay, you should all be like aware of what you're doing. You should be able to explain everything. Like, if I ask you any question about your strategy, you should be able to simply explain it to me and have a bit of confidence and back it. Okay, and that comes from like just testing, journaling, tracking all your trades, and it just comes over time. The third thing, which like you should be doing, like whatever you're practicing, and this goes for so many things, is to like become super disciplined, like educate yourself. That like, if you're just putting in the hours and loads of chart time, even if you don't need to be the most intelligent person on the planet, you just build this skill. Like, I'm sure you can probably ask yourself right now, like, when was the last time you became obsessed over something and you didn't improve? Like, when did that happen? Like, that's just, you have to become obsessed. You can't expect to watch 1 or 2 YouTube videos and then be like, okay, I've got it, and then it doesn't work and then you give up. Like, of course it's not going to work. Okay, like, if you want to become like a lawyer, you don't just watch like 2 or 3 YouTube videos and think, yeah, like, I'm good to go now, let's do it. which is what a lot of people do in the Forex place. Like they educate themselves. Like I've started a little community, like Sam's Effect Society, just on the side of like trading really, and just we've built like a little Discord server and like we chat. There's a few live calls, but it, you know, like it doesn't have to be to do with me or anything. But definitely like try and find yourself some sort of community, or some sort of program, especially if you're early on, to just build like practice the good habits from the start. Okay, you can save so much time rather than just like sort of maybe watching like this unstructured like random YouTube videos with no real structure. Like you might one day watch a video on like scaling in, then the next day you'll watch a video on like why not to scale in, and then you know, and then the video on like indicators, and like it's all sort of just a bit random. Okay, so like I strongly suggest you find yourself some sort of like mentor, someone to help teach you. It could be a friend that's already doing it, someone a bit ahead of you, it could be a paid group, whatever. Yeah, if you're not taking the steps to do this, then you're just literally like screwing yourself. Like the first year I did it, like I wasn't profitable till the end, and then I turned around, I had like a 7 week period, and I was like, oh man, like I've just like nailed it. Like every week I've made like 2%, 1 to 2% a week, and I was like, that's like fantastic. But the first like 3 to 6 months were a bit random. Like there was times where I was profitable, times where I was not. Like it was a bit random. Then for like sort of 3 months or so, I was like just below break even. So I was like slowly losing money. And then we got to that period at the end where I was becoming so obsessed, everything started to click. It was definitely like, go back to rule number one, when I created things and made them simpler, when I gave myself less to do. And also, who wouldn't want less to do? Like, it's great. Like, you don't have to look at the chart all day. You don't need to manage trades as much. I literally just enter on the daily rate and I just let it run. Some weeks I literally have one trade. Some weeks I have like 3 or 5. That's it. I could probably make things like spice it up more, make it more interesting, and go down to a lower time frame, but it probably won't work, and I'll just be starting over again. But that's my journey, and that's what I've learned. So, like, I hope this was helpful, and yeah, let me know below like anything you'd like to see next or where you are in your journey. I'll be super interested. Anyway, cheers.